Well, they call it the silent killer. The effects equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. In the last 50 years, rates of loneliness have doubled. The culprits? Everything from social media to living alone. Today on this special Cityline Reel, we're looking at the very important topic of loneliness, which unfortunately is still a major taboo. Now, we feel like this is a very important subject and an important show, and we realize there's a lot of stigma around the topic of loneliness. So I want to thank those people who were willing to come forward and talk to us. They felt it was important to tell their story. We asked them to describe what loneliness feels like to them. Here's what they said.
I would say that there is a part of me that has always been a lonely person.
The loneliness that I feel is something that I carry with me every day, no matter where I go.
The feeling of knowing you only have yourself.
It's a feeling of emptiness, feeling of being trapped.
At that moment when you go swimming, you do a cannonball, you're underwater, you hold your breath for too long, and inside it starts to bubble up. You realize that you're running out of breath, and it's that really heart-pacing moment.
A lack of connection. And of not feeling like part of something. I'm
like at the end of a tunnel, and I'm trying to get to the other end, but it's not. I'm never going to get there, so I can keep going and keep going. And there's light there, and I can see it, and I know people are also having fun at the end of the tunnel, but I can't. No matter how fast I go, I'm not getting to the end of the tunnel.
Once again, thank you to all of the people who spoke with us. We know that it's not an easy topic to talk about. We have got a great team of experts on the show today. We have clinical psychologist Dr. Rokach with us, and our very own relationship expert, Dr. Karyn Gordon. Thank you for joining us today to talk a little bit about this. Before we even get into anything, because I'm going to quiz you guys when it comes to loneliness and maybe debunk some of the myths around it, I want to talk about what loneliness is, because I think this is what I learned researching this show. It's a negative feeling of emptiness, and the feeling arises when our social needs are not achieved by the quantity or the quality of our social relationships. So as humans, we rely on these secure, safe bonds, right? So loneliness not only affects us emotionally, but it takes a toll on us physically and socially, and it affects our bodies and our minds, which is why we're seeing things like in the United Kingdom, a ministry of loneliness, a minister of loneliness. Like, this is becoming a government issue.
That's wonderful, and they help get loneliness out of the closet, and you're doing it as well today.
And we want to talk a little bit more about that stigma, Dr. Ami, but before we do that, shall we test the audience?
Let's test the audience.
Shall we test the audience? Let's see how much you know about loneliness, or think you know about loneliness, because I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. Question number one, and these are true or false. The elderly are the group that feel the most lonely. Is that true or false?
Interesting.
It looks about half and half.
Like half,
right.
yeah.
What would you two say?
Yeah, 50-50, yeah.
I would say yes and no.
Yes and no. And why yes and no?
Because younger people feel lonelier, and when people get very old, that's when they feel lonely.
Okay.
Their mates are dying, their friends are dying, they become disabled, and that's the problem. But people who are 60, 70, 80 are still doing comparatively well to the general population.
Okay, all right, that's fair, that's fair.
So
Here's
they're
the
right.
second one. So they're right-ish. Yes, you're 50-50, you're all right. Loneliness is worse for you than smoking. I kind of gave this one away in the intro. Is that true or false?
Yeah, very good.
There are ailments you can get from loneliness, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, right? You are less lonely if you have a lot of friends. True or false?
This is a good one. This is
You're
a good
less
question.
lonely if you have a lot of friends. True or false? They're all saying false.
Yeah, it's like 70-30.
And are they right?
So you can have lots of friends and still be lonely.
There you go.
Right? Because it's all about, it's not so much about how many, it's the quality.
Yes.
Okay? It's the meaningful relationship and connection that we want. Yeah.
So they're right again.
They're right again. They're very smart, these people. I'm going to do one more. We are less lonely today because of the connections we make on social media. We are less lonely today because of the connections we make on social media. They're all saying false. Okay, so we're going to talk about tech a little bit later, and I will speak on behalf of our tech experts. They're going to say, mostly you're right, but there are some quality connections you might be making on social media as well. So you kind of tested the audience. You talked to them before the show, Karyn. What did you find out in terms of
And
results?
first of all, thank you to the audience for doing my little questionnaire. So I did a very simple questionnaire because we're seeing the epidemic literally skyrocket in the last 50 years, as you mentioned. So what I was curious about is from our small sample size, how many of us experienced loneliness as a teenager versus actually as an adult?
Okay.
Okay. And so it was interesting with our audience. It's almost 50% as youth of us experienced loneliness as a teenager.
Yes.
So what's interesting is what happens as adults. Does it go up or down? What do you think? Does it go up or down, Tracy? What do you think as an
I would say
adult?
it goes down.
It went up, jumped to almost 77%.
Loneliness?
Yes, and this is interesting. This is why I'm excited to kind of go through the data, because what's happening is as we get older, we, when we're younger, we have our social connections. We've got school. We have more places to actually meet people. But as we get older, a lot of us get more isolated.
Right.
And so it actually goes like this as adults. So that was not surprising. I thought that might happen, but I was actually really affirmed in my own theory kind of around that when I actually got the data back.
Well,
I wanna
before
add,
we
if
get
I-
into our first story, I want to quickly ask you about the stigma, Dr.
right.
Ami. Why? Why is there
Okay.
so much stigma around loneliness? Why will we talk about depression and anxiety, but we won't talk about
It
feeling
amazes
lonely?
me how people go around and they're lonely, they're dying to connect, and they don't talk about it. And the rationale goes like that. Our society admires people who are successful. If I don't have people that want my company, that means that I'm a failure. If I'm a failure, other people don't want to associate with me for fear that they will be seen as losers. So I walk around and I don't talk about my loneliness, and I have spoken to thousands of people who will talk about anything from depression to schizophrenia. They
Yeah, but
won't
not
talk
loneliness.
about
But not
loneliness.
loneliness.
Right.
Very interesting.